I try to leave myself the freedom to fail because then I can actually be surprised by the result rather than like over controlling it. I know how to make a show move in the direction that I want it to move. But sometimes in doing that, I actually get in the way of how the show wants to move.
I once spent a month in the Calgary airport one afternoon, eating chain sushi with a new friend, since the universe decided that I wouldn't have been the only one going through this very long afternoon by myself. It truly gifted me my guest today. And again, you got to tell, we want to go with Adam or in Q, or Adam in Q. What do you want to go with?
You can go with whatever you feel. I mean, people usually wind up calling me in Q, and when they're looking me up, they look up in Q. They don't look up Adam. But I'm not opposed to my real name either. It's not like I have, beef with it or anything like that.
But let's just start where I started. Like, kind of a weird afternoon in the Calgary airport, right? Like, we were there I'm truly grateful because, we got to hang out for a while, even though I think we were both pretty tired from being at the gathering. And
yeah,
one of the best parts of the whole trip, we met some cool people, but for me, was really getting a chance to know who you really are and to hang out with you. Although the sushi, I'm not sure I would do again in the airport personally.
No, the airport sushi we'd probably both avoid if we had other options. I don't know. I mean, what was the question?
I don't think there was one other than, did you find that airport eerie?
Well, I will say this. I have been having a lot of issues with travel recently. And at the beginning, I was narcissistic enough to think it was about me. Like, I was like, wow, I'm having all of these crazy travel experiences where every single flight that I take is either delayed or having some major issue. And for a while, I was like under that impression until I realized, no, this is something that everyone's going through. And people are completely overworked, completely underpaid, completely understaffed. And because of that, there's just a lot of friction when you decide to travel these days. And if they set that up as the new normal, personally, I would have a different expectation when I travel. But because for whatever reason, I'm, expecting it to be a pre-COVID experience, and then it's not, it winds up being frustrating. But it certainly helps when you have a friend and you get to know somebody, and that's what we did.
Yeah, but this is like very you. Like, I'm almost happy from like, I'm going to pretend like, oh, I know you so well. I'll be like, that's so you and Q. But like your ability to just sort of step back from a scenario and like deconstruct a moment and put it to words. You've been doing this for a while. Like, I almost feel like I'm doing you a disservice by not, like, let's call a spade here. You're influential thought leader, Oprah's Super Soul 100 list. I'm curious if this makes you uncomfortable when I say this, but we'll get there, right? Like, you've won countless awards in the space. You've written books. You are a thought leader. You've written poetry for like I don't even want to know who's on speed dial for like Aloe Black and HBO's Def Poetry Jam, and you've done so many cool things. I'm bouncing around here. Do you see, like, is that you, or are you like, I need to separate all of that from who I am to stay true to my craft? Or do you embrace all that? Like, because when I met, I'm going off on a tangent here. I know I shared with you when I met you at a boat at Summit at Sea. I wasn't this me yet. I was maybe 2 lives ago. And I remember being like, this man is so talented. And like, I'm inspired by your words and your work. And I was scared to come up to you, but I felt I needed to. Now, at this time, I was probably like, it was a different courage. It was liquid courage that kicked in. And I remember coming up to you on like one of the floors. I was like, man, that was amazing. Like, you were amazing, which I'm sure everybody says that too to you. So does that get old? So I don't know.
I don't know which question to answer first or what trail of thought to follow. I mean, no, it never gets old. And not because people are stroking my ego, I just genuinely am so appreciative when anyone is moved by my work. It's like when I create something, it's very personal to me, even if it's external observations about the world. And so it is hard to separate myself from my creation often. And anytime somebody is moved by it, I'm really humbled more than anything else.
How long have you been doing it for now?
Since I was 14 and I'm 44. So.
Wow. So were you growing up, like, what caused it? Like, where did it come from? Were you the idea of getting your word out, your story out? Did it come from somewhere? Like, did you just have this need to, were you angry? Were you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely angry. I still have these issues today. I have two real ways of dealing with the world when I'm triggered. I either get angry and use my words to explain what's going on so that I can feel seen, or I completely shut down.
What's the percentage?
50-50, baby.
Right down the middle?
Yeah, but I'm learning other tools. And I think everybody's superpower is also their kryptonite. This is what pushed me into expressing myself through the art form of rhythm and rhyme. And my poems are either me purging or praying or both. And they're aspirational, they're inspirational, they're manifestations to myself and to the universe. And I share that with the audience over and over again as my truth continues to grow and change over time. And hopefully that's a mirror to my humanity and the deeper things that we all can relate to beyond our personal circumstances.
So you run these workshops, which I'm learning about myself. And when you go and do these, what is it, like 1 hour, 3 hour? Depends.
Yes. Like usually 2, or we have a retreat coming up in Morocco. So that's like a 5-day event, and we'll do different poetry workshops that have a conceptual through line. So it's meant to ultimately lead people towards empowerment and infinite possibilities.
So like, yeah, talk me through the journey. Like, let's say I'm coming to a session. Mm-hmm. What are you hoping I get out of it?
Well, I try not to overly hope you get anything because I don't want to confine you to my expectations. But the actual structure is meant to lead you on an exercise into finding your voice poetically through an art form that you wouldn't normally explore yourself through, whether it's because you came to a specific personal workshop retreat or whether it's, a company offsite. And ultimately in exploring something moving and meaningful to you, that you're surprised by the connection that you have to yourself. And then in sharing it or observing other people share their story, you're surprised by the connection that you have to others. So it's really a remarkable magic trick that I've kind of learned over the years. It allows people to be vulnerable from a place of strength. And nobody has any idea what they're getting themselves into often. They don't consider themselves writers or poets, and they wind up leaving feeling truly transformed by having a creative experience. And then they have that tool that they can apply to their life or their work from then on out.
This may not be a fair question, but I'm curious to hear your answer. Like, if you had to rank, because you do a lot of stuff. I mean, you're writing, you're performing, you're helping others become better or see themselves. Do you have a favorite, or it's like I love all my children equally?
No, it's a hard question to answer, to be quite honest. I feel like they're all my favorite when I'm doing them. if you told me that I had to choose one, I would say that when I have something to say, I need to say it. And creating art is the way that I can get it out of my system. If you're asking me what I think the biggest impact it is, that I have, I would say the workshops. Because if somebody's experiencing my art, they're experiencing themselves through my art. But if someone is exploring their own voice, it's going to be more impactful for them. If they take it seriously, the workshop will take them seriously. And, it's something that people remember for the rest of their lives often. And they make friends in the workshop, whether they've worked with these people for years or whether they are strangers when it starts, that can last a lifetime as well. Because if you have more context to who a person is, you have better communication and ultimately collaboration.
So I would love to hit a workshop at some point.
Dude, come to Morocco, bro.
When is it? I'm in. You gotta tell me when.
It's the 16th, October 16th through the 21st or something like that. Yeah.
So here's where I was going. So, and this is like, I'm now doing the thing I shouldn't do because I've never experienced the workshop. So how the hell would I know?
Yeah.
But I could tell you that you do make such an impact from the stage because I can feel the energy of everybody else. And like now that I'm doing keynotes and like I understand my role up there as well. Like, can I take you on a journey? In some ways, I don't know if I'm just hungry, but it's like you have to defrost somebody and they have to thaw out before you can get the grill going with fire, right? And I feel like to watch you do that, like putting people in a position to even think they could go to a workshop and liberate their minds. I saw it first. I've seen it multiple times now. Is not easy to do. And are you more comfortable on stage, by the way, than you are at like at a dinner party? Yeah.
It depends upon what dinner party.
Okay. In general.
It also depends upon what stage.
So, but you feel like, do you still get nervous when you go up there?
It depends upon the performance and the stakes in reality or in my mind. If I'm going to do something for television and I know that it's going to reach, millions of people, sometimes I'm more nervous. Or if I'm doing it and I really care, like, for example, Al Gore just invited me to perform at his climate conference. And so I did it a few weeks back and, it was amazing. And yet I felt like I wanted to show up for him because, I deeply respect the work that he has and continues to do in the world. So when the stakes are a bit higher in terms of what my expectations are, sometimes I'll get a bit nervous, or if I'm doing something that's just plain outside of my comfort zone. But I try to leave myself the freedom to fail because then I can actually be surprised by the result rather than like over controlling it. I'm pretty much good enough where I could, and by the way, I don't mean that from an egotistical standpoint. I put like 30,000 hours in, I know how to make a show move in the direction that I want it to move. But sometimes in doing that, I actually get in the way of how the show wants to move. And so I've been actually like more conscious of that recently, that there's a difference between developing tools and then using those tools, and then also like developing tools and having those tools use you.
Yeah. As an empath, I mean, I think it's clear to say you're an empath, right? At this point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel a lot of shit.
So when you're on stage, are there times when you're like, no, I'm not doing this, I'm moving in that direction? Like, are you just constantly, like you can't even help, the energy's coming at you or you're coming at it, so you might pivot is that normal?
Yeah, I'm definitely like surfing some sort of an energetic wave, but it's still through my interpretation. Like sometimes I'll look at somebody and I'll interpret them being not into it. And, you know, there was this one time I was on stage and I saw this guy and he was like writing in his phone and literally, and I'm like in a poem that's about, I don't even know what. And I'm like, fuck this guy, you know, like that, my immediate, whatever, 15 teenager comes out and, you know, and then the guy comes up to me afterwards and he's like, hey man, sorry, I was on my phone. He goes, I was writing down something you said. It was really, like, it really hit me. So that's the thing is you got to be careful that your interpretation can create your reality. And just give yourself space to interpret so that you can pivot and make changes based on how you feel when you're in the moment and leading, you know, 1,000 people in a certain direction. But also not pay so much attention to that you're out of the moment yourself. Or you've created something that isn't real that you then make real based on either your overinflated ego or your insecurities or, you know, all of the above.
So you constantly checking yourself? Are you like just talking to yourself while you're up there going, hey, I think that's real. Nope, that's not real. Yes, follow this. Is that like while you're performing?
No, look, no, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely like aware, but as I said, I've been trying to let go of that more and more because there's so much more beauty and fun in letting go and enjoying the ride. And just because I'm capable of doing those things or willing a show to match up to the expectations that I have of it, doesn't mean that's necessarily good for me or the audience. So I think about that. And what I try to do is just completely become the poem. When I'm thinking, I know that I'm not like fully in it. When I am like blink and the show is over, then it felt like it was flying.
Yeah, I could feel that from you.
Thanks.
We're with you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Well, some people are, some people aren't, but yeah, people don't really know what to do with me at the beginning. My experience, when, you know, people are like, this is what happens when they see me for the first time. They're like, do I like this guy? I don't know if I like this guy. Well, why is he rhyming at me like that? I don't know. Oh, that was cool. No, I think I like him. Yeah, no, I like that. That was good. I really like this guy. I got to tell my family about this guy. That's literally the whole,
that's the,
the whole arc. It's like pretty funny, you know?
I think that's accurate. Like, and then once you've seen you, like the second time was much more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, because you already know. You're like, I like this guy. So then you're open. The thing about what I'm doing too is oftentimes I'm really just talking to myself. I'm like reliving my own life lessons, things that have inspired me, things that have moved me, things that have pissed me off. And I'm exploring problems. I'm exploring solutions. And I'm talking to myself first. I'm the first person in my audience. And so like, I think it's more enjoyable for people the second time because they realize that they can trust me and that I'm always going to ultimately lead them towards hope and empowerment, you know, that they have to trust the ride that they're getting on. And they have to kind of trust me in order to do that. And by the way, I'm kind of easy to hate, you know, like just like, I'm sure if I saw myself get on stage, I'd be a little skeptical at the beginning. You know, I'm like yelling spiritual advice at people in rhythm and rhyme. It's like, what? Like, do you have a license, buddy? Like, what do you know? So, yeah, but, ultimately I think that once people trust me, it winds up being a really therapeutic experience.
Yeah. Again, I'm I can only go from my lens, from the seat that I was in, right? And I remember that first time, it was more like, am I ready for you? Like nobody, it's almost the same thing you said about flying. Like, can we be better communicators, please? That like, we're still in COVID. Like, it's not going to be the same travel experience. Like, somebody tell me that. And so when you hit the stage the first time, there was no write up, no warning, no, I don't even think I was there to, it was like the night show was called, or like, it was like the evening. I was like, I think Gladwell was talking in somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then like this guy comes on and is talented and confident, or portraying confidence, which I was like, is he confident or is he portraying? This is how I was thinking back then. It wasn't you that I was judging. I didn't realize I was critiquing myself.
That's deep.
Right? So I wasn't.
That's really interesting.
So when you're like the waves of everything you were talking about, like, can I trust him? Is really like what you were saying. Like, can I trust him? Can I trust him? Can I trust him? Oh shit. Wow. I think I could trust him. I could trust him. And then life goes on. Obviously, I trusted you because hours later on a different floor, I bumbled up to you and was like, hey, you touched me. Like, that was amazing. And thank you. And we need that. And maybe that's the sadness, right? Like, where are more people talking openly and truthfully? It shouldn't take just me stumbling into you on a boat in international waters to like speak freely and truly that way. Now, maybe I'm saying more about what I'm listening to.
You do, don't you? I mean, I feel like you do that in life, and you speak very, like, even your idea of where you were at that time, that you've had 2 lives in between now and then. I mean, so have I. You know, you're lucky if you live many lives in your life, because it means you're constantly evolving and, you know, hopefully not overly judging your past self, but looking back and saying, wow, look at all the progress I've made. You know, I think that's something to be proud of, right?
Yeah, totally. But I also acknowledge that guy on the boat, like, let's go look at your website, change your story, change your life. That wasn't conscious. That wasn't, I mean, it was unconsciously conscious, if that makes sense, but it wasn't overtly conscious. And I knew at some point it was, I'm not making the impact I want to make.
Right.
And here we go. And now we just, it's messy and we're trying. But so, yeah, it's cool. Cause then the second time when at the gathering up in Banff, which is like pretty damn gorgeous location, right? I'm like, oh, I was more excited for everybody else to go on the journey. I already knew at that point, like, oh, this is cool. Like, I get to hear his stuff again. I wonder how much has changed, you know,
right?
That whole thing. And to watch everybody else have the reaction, like, oh my God, that was amazing. He's so great. And that was what I felt from everybody, or people would say. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I'm like I said, I'm really like humbled and grateful that anybody listens to me. Honestly, it's so cool. I make things up and then I share them, and people tell me that it inspires them or it moves them. And that's really amazing. And I make a great living doing what I love.
So how far do you live from where you grew up?
Right now we're like mid-city basically. And I grew up in Santa Monica. I grew up on Bay Street in Lincoln until I think we were like, I don't know what year it was, but I probably was like 11 or 12, and we got robbed pretty bad. And then they robbed the place downstairs. It was like there was some people in the neighborhood and drama that I won't go into, but we left, and then we got another place, and that place was kind of like borderline Santa Monica and West LA. So that was Berkeley Street, was where I grew up, you know, for the second half of my childhood.
Did the anger come after the burglary, or are you always at it?
I mean, I always felt like a bit of an outsider. And I think my father not being around was just complicated for me. And my mom and I we had complicated relationship. And, you know, I love her so much and I'm so grateful to her, but we had a hard time seeing eye to eye. And so I think that I felt like I had to figure out the world on my own in many ways.
And do you feel like it was a pressure release?
A what?
A pressure release? Like you had to get your message out, your story out, what you were feeling out?
I mean, I didn't feel very empowered. And then when I found rapping and hip hop in general, I mean, even separate from me creating, it's the most empowering art form and anybody can do it. You just, you know, freestyling was a permission to just let go and see what happens. And it was a meditation. It put me into the moment at a time when I never felt like I was in the moment. I was always observing other people and observing myself and, you know, where do I fit into this world? What am I supposed to be like as a man? You know, I had a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. And for whatever reason, that was just an invitation to myself. And so I just pursued that over and over and over again. And it was one of the biggest gifts ultimately of my life.
In the early days when you're like, whoop, next thing you know, you're on, like you're in it, you're in the arena. Like you said, how much of it was a blink? And when you come out of it, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do that again. I want to do that again.
Well, when I was like battling people or, you know, when I was a kid or when I was making music, at that time, I had no concept of myself as an artist. So I was just all expression. You know, there's a difference between creation and presentation. Sometimes your presentation can be your creation, which is probably a different subject altogether. But for me at that time, I didn't even know what a brand was. I was just expressing whatever was going on with me at that moment. It was so pure. And I didn't really expect to get any validation. So when I did, it was like the most unbelievable feeling when people started recognizing me for being good at something. You know, like I wanted to be a basketball player when I was little, you know, and I tried so hard but you know, I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't big enough. And at a certain point, I remember thinking like, oh, wow, like even if you put your everything into something, there can be a limitation that you just can't overcome. And when I found rhyming, the only limitation was me. There was nothing that could have stopped me from being as good as I wanted to be, other than the amount of time and love that I was willing to dedicate to it. So during those early years, that was my absolute heyday. In fact, in some ways, I feel like I've been chasing that feeling ever since, because there was such a purity to it. I didn't want to be seen as anything. And so when I was seen as who I was, it was like it was a drug that I hadn't taken.
How much of your early stuff is still in the rotation?
Not a lot, because I actually was a very different person, which isn't surprising because I've been doing this forever. And I've grown so much and times have changed too. I mean, there's stuff that I used to say that I do not feel super proud of now, you know, when I look back on it. And I was just kind of in a different state, and you do better when you know more. And yet the core of what I was always expressing was the exploration of my experience and the human experience. And that's why InQ is short for in question. And that was given to me. It wasn't something I chose. It was because I was always asking questions, curious about myself and other people and the world at large. And so my friend named me that when I was 15, and it just kind of stuck.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, that theme has stayed as the through line throughout my whole entire artistic career. But a lot else has changed. So most of that earlier stuff is somewhere in buried journals.
Well, I'm just thinking about your process, right? Like you said, creation is different than presentation, and observation or in question is different than creation. Is that where you start? You're like, yes, this deserves to be in question. Let me play. Or do you not go that way?
I think that, you and I have had conversations where something has come out of the conversation, like the roommates thing we were messing around with.
Yeah.
And that's really where most of my spark comes from, is paying attention to when I'm sparked. Nobody really has a lack of inspiration in their life. They have a weak muscle to paying attention to when they are inspired. And then even when they notice it, they don't often create time and space to move that inspiration into a specific art form and then share it with other people. So there's levels to it. So when we were in that conversation, and the concept came up of all of the different voices that we have in our heads, and your metaphor to that was that it's almost like having roommates. Now, that's an interesting poem, because it's an interesting angle to approach something that has been said over and over again. But if you say it in a new way, in an art form, then it can be communicated differently. And that, if it lands differently, then it can actually shift someone who experiences it.
I think I've written this poem that I said I was going to share with you.
Yeah, you haven't finished it though, right? You got like halfway through, or you finished it?
This is like, all right, am I going to be courageous on my own podcast?
Oh, you probably should then.
Ah, fuck. Okay. Want me to take a cut at this?
Sure. Yeah, do it.
All right. This is like a serious act of courage. This is me getting uninvited to your workshop in Morocco party right now. You ready?
Oh, hilarious.
All right. So here we go. All right. And again, I have like zero training. So I'm looking for guidance and guardrails. And you know me well enough to know I'm going to be self-effacing with this. But all right, let's go. So it's called Roommates. Like a lot of you, I got roommates. And as you know, most days are great. Most days they shoot me straight. All love, barely any hate. And when we hit our town together, when I'm late, they're late. No doubt, it's true, we're a close-knit few. It's nice to have dudes to talk to. My pick-me-up crew, for when my face flips from peach to blue. And I tell each of them all the time I do the same for you, and you, and you, and you. But sometimes my mates blow me away, and not in the very I'm impressed sort of way. Some days, if I'm shooting you straight, for all that great, with all their epic traits, I'm also held captive by me mates, who don't like it when I make them wait, who don't care if I brought home a date, even when it gets real late. Will close my door thinking we're alone. Who's right there, making my room their own, talking to me as we kiss and she moans? This behavior I do not savor, nor do I condone. You'd think I'd be the only one of us sleeping in my bed, but every night I turn out the lights, I see them brightly in my head, between my ears, behind my eyes, inside my fears, they never lie. Even when I'm blasting Wu-Tang Clan or marching to the Dave Matthews Band, they're stuck inside my brain's caravan. My dog can't hear them, but I sure can. Like a lot of you, I got roommates. And as you know, most days are great. Most days they shoot me straight. All love, barely any hate. No doubt, it's true. It's nice to have dudes I can talk to. My pick-me-up crew. For when my face flips from peach to blue. And I tell each of them all the time, as each one takes over my mind, I do the same for you, and you, and you, and you.
Hey. Nice job.
Come on, that's not bad for a first.
That was great.
I'm like melting over here. I'm whittling like a little flower right now. I'm like, am I really going to share this with them? All right. So like, I'm serious. when you hear this, I know you're going to be like, it's yours and it's your expression, but like, where should I, like, how do I get better at this? Like, where would you start? If I was in the class of Q, like, where would you start?
Well, I mean, different people have different approaches to teaching art. My approach is to provide a platform for people to explore their own voices. I'm rarely ever critical, and I don't overly edit. What I do is I give people direction and a container so that they can figure it out for themselves. Because no one can really tell you what your voice is. All they can do is provide you space to explore it for yourself. So I really liked the poem. I thought it was great. It was clear. It was concise. I liked the concept a lot. I felt like it was an inspired concept. My favorite part of the poem was when you were talking about lying in bed. I thought that's when it got the realist. And I liked the arc that it took to get there. I liked the charm and your sense of humor in the piece that came out. Like, you didn't take yourself so seriously that you weren't able to perform with fun, which is better for us as an audience, rather than you feeling like, oh no, I hope they like it. I'd rather just watch you be amused by your own words.
Right.
Than you be overly busy with me as the audience. So, I like that as well. The question I would have for you as somebody who, could offer you direction to explore editing yourself is figuring out what's repetitive and what's necessary. If there are things that are repetitive that aren't meant to be a chorus, like the beginning and the end were clearly like a chorus in your poem, which was great because it was a great callback. But the question winds up being, what is the ultimate thing in the end that summarizes why you took us and yourself on this ride? And if you've reached that, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if there's more to kind of dig into, then I would suggest that you dig into that. The reason why I personally related to that one part was because I felt like it was the most vulnerable. And so I wanted to know a little bit more about that vulnerability. But once again, man, I'm much happier when people are creating than when they're letting perfect be the enemy of good. I'm not interested in people sitting down trying to make something great and then getting in the way of their own self-expression. What I'm interested in is somebody saying something that's true. Because if it's true, it will be great. I don't need you to become the next big professional poet. Not to say that you couldn't if you get the bug and you want to put all your time and love into it. But what this can do is give you an outlet to explore stories in your life and to explore your imagination in a new way so that you can feel more self-actualized in the world.
Yeah, I found myself going through the exercise. There was like 3 big ahas that I had. Mm-hmm. One was fear. Like, I told you I was going to have this done by our podcast. Not that there was no like, Berman, I'm not coming on unless the poem is done. Like, we never did that. But I wanted that standard for me to say, I said it was going to be done and I want to do it. Whatever done means, by the way.
Yeah.
2, I felt like throughout, I like your style so much, which is already taken, by the way. But I found like myself knowing I would visualize myself presenting it to you, which then in a bad way, I think sort of forced me to go, oh, this is something that Q would enjoy, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, oh, how do I get away from that a little bit? And like, but it's your point, like, what's my voice in all of this? And then the good news, which is number 3, was, and I don't know if you feel this way at all. Like, I've gotten to the point, even if I'm on stage, where I think you have to care and not care at the same time. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, that's what I was saying about the freedom stuff earlier. You have to give yourself the freedom to succeed by giving yourself the freedom to fail.
That that rings true. Like, I feel like I know who I am. I know what my style is. I'm not going to be for everybody, even on Courage, right? Like, I'm trying to design a life. I don't need to be best friends with 340 million people. I just don't.
Right.
I'm trying to find the 3.4 million that want to go out in the world and like take action and try and go for it. The 1%, and like let them then inspire another 1% or another 5%. And you're doing it in so many cool ways. So yeah, I felt that even with this exercise. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen is that you're like, Ryan, like stay encouraged.
Well, but also I would never play anybody out like that. I mean, I'm not interested in embarrassing people, or I'm not so precious with my art form where I'm like, this is only for the type of people that blah, 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 blah. No, it's like, dude, what is art if it's not meant to be shared by everyone? What a boring world it would be if only people who are professional could play basketball, or, only people who are professional artists could paint, and we just become adults and we're so calcified in our lives. Getting to create in an art form that you're an absolute novice in is a gift. It allows us to continue to play. And continuing to play is what allows us to continue to grow. So if you felt like in any way you were held back by what I might or might not think about the poem, approach something else and literally purposely let go of that and then see what comes out. And by the way, I don't even mind if you sound like me or you use that style as a crutch until you can start to walk and run on your own. Because the more you do it, the more your voice is going to come out naturally anyway. And style is one thing, but truth to me is more important than style, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, great advice. I don't feel like I'm at peace with the whole exercise, for the record. Like
Yeah, good.
I liked playing, and I think you got it right. Like my joy is somewhere between finding a truth and making you laugh at the expense of me. I'm okay with that. Right. And so I liked where we played in there. All right. You're the pro though. Like, can you share something? Do you mind sharing something?
No, I don't mind. What do you want? What would you like to hear?
Well, obviously it's a show about courage. So I feel like you have so much stuff in the fear space that might be interesting. Or just, what do you feel? Like, what do you feel coming off this conversation that the world, the listeners should take in?
I mean, I have so many pieces, man. I have my book for anybody out there. You can always get Inquire Within, which I have conveniently right next to me. I don't know where that came from. That was just...
Hey, if I was going to buy that book, where should I go?
Oh, anywhere. Literally Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can do your local bookstores. You can get it on Audible. It's all over the place.
Tell me you did the Audible.
Oh, yeah.
You had to do it.
We were nominated for an Audie Award for my reading of it, which was pretty cool. That was a nice little feather in my cap.
Did you shoot it also? Did you get video of that?
No, we, it came out March 20th of 2020. So we had a whole tour planned and everything just got canceled. It was just a wild time to, try to release a book, but it was so meaningful to people during that time and still is. I get messages every single day, man. People love this book. It's really, it's touched a lot of people, which is really great.
Can I come up and shoot you in a studio and let's do it the right, like the video part?
Yeah, sure. We can figure something out. I have so much new stuff though. Now I'm like already on to the next, yeah. But if you want to hear the fear poem, I'm happy to do that. I can do whatever it is that you want. I'm really here for you and your audience and whoever's listening to this. If you got this far, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, thank you for listening to us.
I say that shit all the time. I'm like, if you've made it 40 minutes in, like, yeah, you're here. So yeah, give them what they need to hear.
I guess I can do the fear piece. Okay, hold on real quick. I got to find it.
We're going to get there. He's turning pages.
No, I do it through this.
Okay.
It's completely changed the way I write, by the way. You're more likely to be killed while driving to the beach than by a shark. In fact, you're 30 times more likely to be killed by coconuts or falling airplane parts, and Google says that's just the start. Beware of bear attacks, fireworks, train tracks, bees, eating, drinking, sleeping, sex, ladders, subways, dogs, steps. All of these can cause your death. I'm surprised there's people left. Biking, boating, cancer, smoke, lightning, striking, hunting, stroke. Hippos are no fucking joke, and chicken wings can make you choke, or slipping on a bar of soap. Anything can make you croak. Lawn mowers, trees, guns, snow, wind, rain, sun. Many drown or die of thirst. Selfies are the fucking worst. Falling backwards off a cliff for likes that you will never get. Fire, ice, poison, snakes, rivers, valleys, deserts, lakes, knives, ties, all types of sports. They've weaponized your fucking forks. Cows, wheat, sugar, pork, obesity of every sort, which brings me back to shark attacks. Statistically, they come up short. You're much more likely to be killed by popping out a champagne cork. That shouldn't stop our celebration. Put your glasses in the air. How about we toast to life and overcoming irrational fears? Now that's a cheers. I'm not pretending that there aren't threats, but we can't live our lives if we're this preoccupied with death. You cannot hide somewhere where time doesn't find you. Anywhere you go, it will be one step behind you to remind you. The you are will not be here forever. We're just spinning on a rock inside the universe together. It's a treasure. So let's measure life by more than just our years. It's the memories we make, especially when we are scared. It's the boundaries that we break and the risks we choose to take. It's the grace in our mistakes when we're humbled by a wave, when it tumbles us and pulls us under to an early grave. But we fight to reach the light just to live another day. And our fingers touch the surface and our lungs can breathe again. And we look off in the distance and we think we see a fin. We should probably get moving, make our way to solid land. We should get out of the water, but not never swim again.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love it. This is where I wish we had video, too, because you can't even help yourself. You're like reaching for the skies and it's coming from your belly.
Oh, you're nice, man.
No, I was like, oh, it's an honor. Oh, it's so good. Thank you for sharing.
Here's another one. This one's fun.
I
just wrote this one, so I think I'm going to mess it up. But then, as I said, if you give yourself the freedom to fail, it can all be an adventure.
All right, so how fresh is this?
What do you mean?
Like you just wrote it. What does that mean, just wrote?
Oh, I wrote it like a month ago, but nobody's heard it. Literally nobody's heard it. And I kind of like it because, and I haven't done it in like a month, but it's interesting because you know this concept of fuck you money?
Yeah.
People are like, I want fuck you money.
Yeah, it's real.
I've always hated that.
Yeah. What's the point?
You know, I just think it's a horrible term. So I wrote this piece.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't want fuck you money. I want thank you money. I want how you doing money. I want, can I get you something money? I want here after you money. I want be nice to everybody money. I want I'm not better than anybody money. I like everybody money. I don't want flaunt you money. I won't taunt you with my money. What I want is only say yes when I want to type of money. I want everything is chill money. I want it's cool. We don't have to split the bill, honey. I want my money's making money. I want to leave the party early money. I want to never set alarms to wake up early money. I want my family is safe money. I want humanity is safe money. I don't want I'm going to take it to the grave money. Why would I want buried treasure money? I want to make the future better money. I want some better money, not this obnoxious trendsetter money, not this toxic masculinity money. I want silly money, make the dilly money, make a milli money. Then my milli makes a milli money. I want my wife's neck is chili money. I want enough so I don't have to question if it's really money. I want Big Willie money. I want Papa Willie money. I want Caparoli money. I want guacamole money. I want everything is funny money. I want my backyard has a bunny money. I want to have sex when it's sunny money. I want my kids to never worry money. Long range, Steph Curry money. Big Short, Michael Blurry money. Hard work, never hurry money. I want forever money. And I don't want to wait forever money. Nobody is going to live forever money. In fact, I better thank you now while we're together money. So fuck you money. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I'm happy that you haven't worked Bitcoin into that.
Oh, don't get me started on my Bitcoin poem.
That might be, there's a Bitcoin poem.
I already wrote it. I'm not sharing it now.
Okay. Though. It's not ready yet.
No.
It's also called Fuck You Money. It could be.
I mean, I don't talk about Bitcoin publicly because people have so many misconceptions about it. But what I will say is it's a lot more layered and complicated and nuanced than most people know. And there are a lot of issues in the community, like there are issues in many communities and any emerging technologies that have not figured themselves out in the world yet. But the poem that I'm starting to write on it has a lot of depth to it. It's not really about Bitcoin going to the moon. It's about the possibilities of what the technology could do to bring equality to the world.
All right. I'm going to go back to the Fuck You Money poem then.
Okay.
Because I felt like it's fun, but it's still honest, like you said. Like you want us to play, but then you want to remind us. And it also like reminded me, I forgot to ask, like, you're married, right? You're married.
Yes.
And that you're what, a year in?
Yes, we are a year and a half. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and are there talks of little Q's?
Yes, but I'm going to leave it there, but yes.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. I was just curious if you were, because you're talking about that you're not interested in taking money to the grave. So I was just curious what your take was on all of that.
Yeah, we would love to have kids. That's an exciting next adventure to take.
And then in the spirit of going back to the poem about fears, which is so good. And it's like, show, tell, show, tell. Like, that's what I felt. And you're like, show. But like the champagne cork data, is that real?
Yeah.
Do you know it offhand?
I mean, I looked it all up. I mean, but once again, that poem was just kind of interesting to me. Both of them were interesting concepts to explore. I had just one day was like, yeah, I was talking to somebody and I was like, you're probably more likely to be killed while driving to the beach than by a shark. But everybody's always so scared of shark attacks, and it's really just an observation and an exploration of my own relationship with fear coming out of COVID and how we've been kind of inundated by anxiety over the last 2.5, 3 years. And now we can't tell the difference between real fears and imagined fears. And so I started looking up these statistics on Google. And that is absolutely right. Everything I said is right. And you're definitely more people get killed per year by popping out a champagne cork than by sharks.
All right.
All of those things, every single thing I mentioned, you're more likely to die from.
So you might as well go swimming.
Might as well live our lives. I'm not saying being reckless. I'm just saying, if we're on the ride anyway, man, like we are on the roller coaster for good and bad. So we can either do this and white knuckle it, or we can let go and take the ride. I'm not saying take your harness off and jump out of the cart. I'm just saying, you know, we all have to negotiate that for ourselves. And this was a reminder for me.
2 questions, then you get your life back. 1, what's that tattoo?
I have my life now.
What does that tattoo say? What's the tattoo on the arm?
Which one?
You did this right over here.
This one?
Yeah, what's that?
It says God doesn't make mistakes.
We need another hour. All right. 2. Look, it's a courageous podcast. We talk a lot about fear. We talk a lot about what people are scared of, what people are not scared of. So I'm curious, like, what scares you? Give me one thing that scares you about your life, not just about like purely the way you go about your life. And like, do you catch yourself ever? And you're like, oh shit, I'm doing X. And then 2, what are you not scared of? Is there something you're not scared of that you want to share?
I think I'm definitely, here's the thing. I have a strange relationship with celebrity from the standpoint of I want the most possible people to hear my art. But I don't like fame. And I get a little bit shy with attention, to be honest. I'm actually an introvert, and it becomes a bit overwhelming to me. I also think it's a really, really strange time to be famous in the world because of cancel culture and everyone having an opinion and just our lack of kindness to each other. You know, I've put out videos, I've gotten death threats, you know, for stuff that I've said, and I continue to speak my mind and speak my heart, but it doesn't feel good, you know? And so I have this like push and pull relationship with my level of success and exposure. And so that is something that I'm partially afraid of, you know, in terms of is being like misunderstood or, you know, saying the wrong thing and having it be taken out of context, or, you know, like even sometimes for issues that I really believe in, like, for example, I've put out pieces that were political or around social issues, and I've gotten pushback from people who are on the other side of the issue. Like I took one position and people who've been on the other side of the issue have attacked me for that. And then it's like, okay, it's understandable. Some people are just like mentally unwell, but also there's the possibility that you're misinterpreted by the people that you are attempting to represent. And that doesn't feel good either. And so you have to get to a place where you realize you're not going to be able to win every battle and you are going to be misinterpreted. But, you know, this is a long walk around the block for me to just say that I have a strange relationship with this. And I don't think it's doing service ultimately to my art and the messages that I want to put out into the world.
So wait, is that what you're scared of or not scared of?
No, that's what I'm scared. I mean, I'm partially scared of my own success or, you know, becoming bigger than I could control, you know, and then, yeah. So I kind of like shy away from certain things that if I didn't, I could probably capture a lot more attention.
And then on the not scared side, like, what are you like? That doesn't scare me. Like I'm at peace with X.
On a macro level, I'm like a micro pessimist and a macro optimist. You know, I'm like Seinfeld in my everyday life, you know, or Larry David or something. But when I zoom out, it's that statement from Martin Luther King Jr., which is that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it tends to bend towards justice. I might be kind of messing up the quote, but that's the overall idea. And I really believe that. I really believe that, you know, on a long enough timeline, everything's going to be all right. And that I choose to believe whatever happens to us is supposed to happen, and that there is some sort of a lesson in there for me, even if it's completely tragic and not something that could ever be understood. I haven't gone through things that a lot of other people have. So I know that from saying that, I have the privilege of my own life, but ultimately we all have to make a choice, because whatever happened to us is what made us who we are right now. So if we reject that thing, in many ways, we reject ourselves. I'm not saying we should welcome that thing or we should forgive that thing and invite it back into our lives. But I'm just saying that, like, ultimately we need to find gratitude in order to find peace. And so I believe that as individuals, and I believe that as a collective, that on a long enough trajectory, we're going to be all right. And so I'm not scared.
Just stop with the selfies, though, people. That's what I took away from that. No, hey, I'm an optimist. That's my number one value. But as you said, as you share that about the micro and the macro, other than hearing the boom, 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 like the Seinfeld sound, is that in your head at all times? The little mnemonic.
Yeah, somewhere.
I would say on the small stuff, do you find like you have to bring it out to remind people not to sweat the small stuff?
What do you mean bring it out?
Like this last poem about selfies and all the things we choose to do with our time or choose not to do with our time is what I would call a lot of it's like it's putting it in perspective. It feels like you said, staying positive and optimistic that like we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I just go back and forth between being too close to the television. I just see the pixels. And then I go back and I see, wow, the whole screen. And then I go, wow, I'm in a fucking room. And I start looking around. I want to go outside. And then I go right back to the television, But I describe that through my art. And in doing that, I think I provide myself with a roadmap back to peace of mind and peace in my heart. And I hope that it winds up doing that for other people as well. The world is in a really wild state right now. My friend said this years ago. He was like, if you're going to come to the shit show, you're going to get hit with some shit. And that's true. I have remembered that statement for years and years. And it always gives me like a small amount of comfort. So I do believe that in the end, we are moving in the right direction. But I also believe that the pendulum is swinging very wildly right now. And there's a lot of real suffering that's going on in America and in the world. And so, I talk about the problems for sure. And the problems are the pixels at times and the specifics and the day-to-day minutia and some of the crazy things that are happening in America from my perspective and around the world. But then I also have to zoom out and just say, man, we're spinning in the middle of space. Nobody knows why we're here. Love yourself, love each other, try to be good to the people around you, and try to leave this world a little bit better than when you found it. And maybe all of this is happening right now because this is the thing that's going to bring about the awareness for the next leaders to come that are going to make the world an even better place. And you can't have good without bad. You can't have love without hate. You can't have light without dark, not in this dichotomy of existence. And so, just trying to hold all of that in the same cup.
Well, I love you, man. I really do. I'm grateful that you're making us think and feel and frankly be better. I'm happy that I can now text you, by the way. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I always feel your energy. And I'm looking forward to the next book. It sounds like you're in it. Is that the
Thanks,
plan?
man.
What's coming?
I have a bunch of stuff going on. Well, we have this retreat, and inquire within. I have the Amazon special if people want to check that out on Amazon Prime. It's in Q Live at the Ace Theater. And then I'm working on an album right now, and then definitely another book, and then also a journal. We're going to take all of the different prompts that I've been doing at the keynote speeches and at the workshops for corporations, and we're going to put them in a conceptual through line where people can have their own personal journey of the workshops or the retreats without me, which is really what I want. I think the more people that create, the more empathy is created. And I think empathy is what the world needs most right now.
Great place to end. Thanks for joining us, Q. Be good, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy.